So yeah, just a couple more information.
Yeah.
You guys can take a picture of this if you want to. Um, so yeah, go ahead and take a picture. It's due in 2 weeks, but no rush. Just think of your own ideas, put it out there, and we'll be happy to put it on the website. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and this is kind of something that we go over in every class. So in all of our 3 week sessions or even our 1 week sessions, we cover as much kind of content as we can. So if you guys have heard, obviously, many of you guys have heard of NASA. There's also a company called SpaceX that also builds rockets. It's a private company, but besides that, they build rockets. They both build rockets. And one part of building rockets on any kind of product really it all starts by building or designing something that people can see before actually building a product. Because you don't want to build a rocket and then realize this doesn't work, right? You want to first know how will it look, what are the different parts of it. So as you can see in this rocket, there's the propellants on the outside, and then you have the body of the rocket in the middle, right? And it came up with this design by first designing it on a program, not exactly Tinkercad, obviously, but in other more professional programs, that's where they designed this rocket. And that's kind of a core component of any kind of industry out there. So even if it's like your phone, obviously, if you guys have an iPhone or an Android phone, those were all designed first, and then they were kind of printed out. If you guys are familiar with a 3D printer, you can actually print these designs out. So we might go over that next week if you guys are interested in kind of printing it out. I don't presume that many of you guys have a 3D printer, which is okay. You don't need one at all. Um, but if you do, that's really cool, and you guys can print out your projects. So I just wanted to give kind of like a real world example of what 3D design can be really used for.
And
So
then once again, we just wanted to mention that all of these designs are going to be built on Tinkercad, which is the platform that we used last time. So if you weren't here last time, no worries at all. We'll get you guys set up with Tinkercad. But again, Tinkercad is where we're going to be building our project today.
okay, so our project for this week is a rocket. And I'm not sure how excited you guys are, but I think it's really, really fun to build. When I was doing that, when I was kind of just preparing this kind of presentation, I realized that this is actually kind of a something that I don't think a lot of people when they see this, it'd be really hard to imagine how you would actually build it. But it's not too hard. It's really, really fun to build. And the great thing about this project this time is that you can really customize what you want on it. So one thing I've been thinking of is that after this project, you can even add your name on it. You can put more, rocket. You can add more rockets to it, and that's kind of the fun part. Unlike the trophy where you can just add your name to it, I think this is going to be a really fun project because not only is it a rocket, but you can actually add different colors. You can add your own, things to it. So that's what we're going to be building today. Soho we'll get into in just a moment. Um, just how to he'll kind of recap how we signed up from last time. So if you guys weren't here last time or you forgot how to do it, so it's just going to briefly go over logging in and signing up and getting to the dashboard, and then I'll continue from there to build the project.
Yeah. So if you remember last time, what we did is we signed up into a platform called Tinkercad. And we signed up with the class code, if you guys remember that. So what I'm going to be quickly sharing with you guys is our class code again. So basically what it is that, let me just go into the account. I'm going to share with you guys a link that you're just going to go ahead and click on. And then from there, you'll be taken to basically just you have to type in your username or your nickname, and then you'll be logged back into your account from last time. Sometimes it'll save, which is great, but I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same pace. But yeah, so here I'm gonna go ahead and share this link. Let's go to this link and then yeah, okay. So this is the link over here, and I'm gonna paste it into the chat right now. So and actually, since I see a lot of messages on the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and disable the chat for now, so that it's kind of easier for you guys to see the links. So you guys could just kind of refrain from typing for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and disable it. But so here's a link. And then all you have to do is you just have to click that link. It'll open it up in your browser. And then sometimes it'll just automatically log in. It'll say, oh, welcome to whatever. And then it'll just say, you just have to click on that's me. But if it doesn't do that, then what you have to do is you have to sign in with your nickname. And the way you're going to go ahead and do that is you have to find your nickname from our website. So if you remember, we found our nickname like so. So here, let me just share my screen real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so here you can see my screen, which is the code that the link that I just sent you guys. So if you go in the chat, I've typed in the link and I've sent it. And then you should be on a page that looks a little bit like this. It'll have like a blue background and it'll say welcome to, and then it won't necessarily say, that's me. Maybe it'll ask you for your nickname. So if it doesn't ask for your nickname, that's fine. Just go ahead and click on that's me and it'll take you to the dashboard and you're good to go. But if it does show, like type in your nickname, then here's what you want to go ahead and do. I've typed in this link into the chat that says startstemearly.org/me, which we've been to this page before. It just allows you to find your nickname. So I'm going to go ahead and use Blake as an example again. So when I go to startstemearly.org/me, that's in the chat, you just can search for your name on this top bar. So it says Intro to 3D Design Student Usernames. Just go ahead and search for your name. So if I type in Blake, it should show, Blake Smith, and then that's my username. So don't type in Blake, obviously, but just type in your name, find your username, and then if you remember it from last time, that's great. You can just go ahead and copy that and put it into that text box and then click join now. Or if that doesn't work, you can just look at it, type it down, and you should be good to go. But again, all you're doing is just click on that first link, Tinkercad. I just clicked on it, tinkercad.com/join class, and then it has like this code. And once you click on that, it'll just take you back to the site. Click that's me, or type in your username from our student list that you can find. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to click on Q&A and just type in your question, send it to us, and we'll make sure to figure it out. And if I do want to mention, if you cannot find your student username for any reason, please type in the Q&A. I can't find my student username, or my student username doesn't work, and we'll get that sorted out for you. We'll get you a new username, whatever that is, but we'll figure it out for you. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. And yeah, I'll just wait like 2 to 3 minutes for everyone to get here, so we're all on the same pace. Again, if you have any questions, the Q&A is always open. Me and Sana are going to be sitting here for the next 2 minutes. And yeah, just all we want you guys to go ahead and do is once you click on, once you type in your nickname or click that's me, once you do that, it'll take you to a page that looks similar to, let me go to 3D Designs. It'll look similar to this. So that's what you should. You shouldn't see that these projects, that's what we've built, but you'll probably see your project from last time, which is the trophy project, and that'll be good. So if you're on a page that looks somewhere similar to this, then you're at the right spot. You're perfect. And then yeah, that's good. And Sun's actually going to enable the chat right now, but if you guys are on this page, can you please type in yes on the chat so we just know where everyone's at. Okay, yeah, and I see someone just said my name isn't there. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Just feel free to type a quick Q&A, send us a question, and we'll get that sorted for you. Okay, yeah, and again, student username, it'll be here. It's really easy. Just gotta type in a quick search, and you should find your username. startstemearly.org/me. I'll send in the links again. I know there's been a lot of chat, so maybe it doesn't. You've lost a link here, but I'll send it again. Just make sure to go to the first site, and if it says automatically signed in, just hit that's me. Otherwise, startstemearly.org/me should allow you to find your username and type that in. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna wait. Sandra and I are gonna wait 60 more seconds, make sure everyone's good to go. We'll answer a few questions, and then we'll get started with today's rocket project, which should be fun. All right, so I think a lot of people are in for now. So Sun's going to go ahead and get started with today's project. I think there's one or two students who are having some issues. I'll go get that sorted for them. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and get started with the rocket project.
Okay. I think everyone can see my screen. Let me just make sure. Wait, just give me a second. Okay. Yep. Should be good. So yeah. If you guys are on the dashboard, that's great. If you aren't, so will probably message you and kind of just help you out just to get you signed in. Other than that, if you are here, that's great. The first thing we're going to do is just click create a new design, and that's what we do every time if we want to create a new project. So just click create new design. And if you just give it a second, it'll automatically load to another to a new project, and you can actually change the name of it too. So it gives you an automatic name, something really weird. So I'll just change it to like Rocket or something. Rocket second project. Okay, cool. Anyways, we're going to, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm just quickly gonna go over kind of like my thinking, and kind of the process I have when I'm thinking about how I'm gonna build this rocket. So if you guys, let's say I wasn't actually gonna teach you how to do this. Let's say I was going to just give you the actual, what if I just like showed you this? Well, what are some kind of what are the parts of the rocket that you would start building? So just in the chat, just type in a part of the rocket. It could be the fins, it could be, you know, the foundation, the base, or just some part of it, and say what part would you start off with? Okay, so we see the cone, the fins, yep, the body, the back, the cylinder. Okay, base. Oh yeah, someone mentioned a paraboloid. That's exactly what we're going to be using. Half cylinder, you could also use that. And something you guys can't see at the bottom of the rocket, usually there's like a place for the fuel to come out. So we'll also be kind of designing that, even though you can't really see that. But if you can't, I'm not sure if you, I think everyone can see my screen, but if you can't, maybe kind of, if you go, okay, I'm not sure how to fix that, but sometimes just restarting the computer can help. I'm not sure. Yeah, this rocket is just gray for now. When I export it into this PowerPoint, it turns out great. But you guys can have multiple colors. And for me, I made it kind of like a black and red. I think it looked really cool. Anyways, yeah. So you guys absolutely have the right answer. So one person mentioned triangles and squares, right? That's perfect. If you notice the unique shape that we have as the fins, it's not something that you can just get, it's not really a shape that's available. So we'll have to actually make our own shape that looks like the fin. And we'll have to angle it perfectly. And part of the fin, you'll see there's also this kind of um, this like another cone, and it's just kind of something like you might see in rockets, just to get it more up there. So yeah, we have the top part, which is another paraboloid. The bottom part, you'll notice there's actually just two paraboloids flipped together, and the base is cut off. So and then we have like these kind of extensions of the rocket, which is kind of what you usually see. So there's many different ways to build a rocket. In fact, if you wanted to, you could just start off with the cylinder, add a cone, and then add the fins. I've just kind of added this kind of unique shape because it almost looks like one of those model rockets you might build at school. And it's a lot more complicated in a way, and just helps you learn more. So that's what we're going to be building. Occasionally, I'll come back to this screen just to show you guys what part we're building first. So the first thing we're going to build is just the body, and then we'll add in the fins later. So I'm going to start off. I'll stop sharing and share my Tinkercad screen. All right. So the first thing we're going to go over. I remember last time I mentioned the controls. So you can use this if you just click and then drag. You'll be able to select things. If you want to rotate around this plane, this is what's called the work plane. You can right click, which is the other clicking button, and hold down and just kind of move over. So if you have any issues, type it in the Q&A. But that's how you do it. Another way to move is by kind of, if you hold Control and Shift, you can move like this. So this is rotating, and this is called panning. So, or it just kind of moving the work plane. You can also call this panning, really. You're just kind of rotating the work plane. But like if I put a cone right here, I can rotate around. I can move to a different side or a different angle. So to do that, you can hold Control and Shift, and you have to just right click. If you want to rotate, you just left click, or just do Control and the right click thing. So that might be a little complicated. So the best way to put this is just hold Control and Shift and drag, or just hold Control and then drag. So Control and drag will rotate. Control Shift and drag will kind of give you this kind of, you can move the plane around, and Control will just give you the rotate. So there's just two things. Does that make sense? It just helps you kind of move around. You know what? I'll just type it in the chat for just so you guys can do this thing. It just helps, I guess. Okay. I just hope that helps. Because I know last time some people had questions about that. So, yeah, sounds good. We're just going to come back here. And let me know if I'm moving a bit too fast. I don't want to move too fast. But we'll kind of just get through this, and we'll also have time for questions too. Yeah, once again, just the control key on your keyboard to rotate, and hold down and drag. So dragging just means you hold down the click and then just kind of move around. So hold down Control and drag, and that will rotate your plane, so you can rotate around. And then Control Shift and then moving around, like clicking, you can move the plane around. All right. So that's pretty much it. If you have just problems rotating, you can use the cube right here and just do that. That also works. But that's all you kind of need. You can also just keep in the same, you might not have to move. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So someone in the chat mentioned we need a paraboloid, and that's correct. We will use a paraboloid. So if you scroll down, the first thing you'll see, this gray kind of thing, it's a paraboloid. Just put it in there, and drag it in there. I'm going to make it black for now, maybe like a dark gray. It just helps to, add some color. Actually, for now, I will make it something light, but later on, I'll change it to a different color, just kind of to make it look nice. But all right, so we have our paraboloid. You'll notice in the rocket, it was a lot longer. So I'm gonna kind of make it longer here, something like that. I'm going to increase its size. So if you just hold shift on your keyboard or just drag, you can just use one of these too. Doesn't matter. But just hold shift to make it even, I guess. You know, and so we have that kind of parabola, and you can make it a little bit taller. I'll kind of zoom out a bit. You can also scroll zoom out. There's also a zoom out button right here too. Okay, so okay, my bad. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to move it upwards. So to do that, I'm going to just gonna shrink it a bit, and I'm gonna move this upward. You'll see there's a kind of black arrow. That's how you move it upwards. And I'll zoom out a bit. So we have, if we zoom out, move it upwards a bit. And then the next thing we want to do is kind of just flip this. So we want to duplicate it first. So to duplicate, you can either click this kind of button up here, and that will just duplicate your block, and you can just drag out. That'll make another one. Or you can click on it, Control C, Control V. That's another way to do it. Or just click this duplicate button, like I said. So now we have the top part. We also want to make the bottom base. So we have the top cone, and then if you flip it, you'll have the bottom cone to make the actual body, right? So I'm going to rotate this. If I zoom in a bit, I'm going to rotate this just a bit. So I rotate it 180 degrees, and I'm going to move it down by holding this black arrow. Okay. So if I hold down and drag it down, I can move it down. So one thing you want to make sure is that it lines up perfectly underneath your thing. So to do that, you can just kind of use this. One thing I noticed from last time is I mentioned the align tool a little bit late, and that's it. The align tool is actually really helpful. So let's say I have something like this, and then I'm struggling to get it perfectly under the other cone. One really helpful tool is if you select everything and click the align thing. I went over this last time too, but I'll go over it again. You click the align tool, and then just click on the two middle arrows. So you see the middle dot. So if I click this one will align it, I think, horizontally, or maybe that's vertically. Yeah, vertically. So now it's aligned vertically. And I also want to align it horizontally, like that. If you click on this, you'll notice it goes perfectly in the center, which is not something we want. But now we have something that's perfectly underneath each other, and all we have to do is just drag up to join it up. So now it's perfectly matched up, and we have something like this. You can move it up a bit more if you want. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so to duplicate, just click on it, click this duplicate button up here. That's all you have to do to duplicate, and just drag out. So if you duplicate it, it's still there. You just have to copy it and move it over, you know. That's how you duplicate. And then rotate it and put it underneath. So I'll go over the line thing one more time. So remember, if you have two different things that are not aligned and you want them to be right over each other, you have to first select all of it. So just drag, hit this align button on the top, and then, or you can click L on your keyboard. That also works. And then hit this little thing. You have to hit this one first and this middle one here. That will align it vertically and horizontally. Okay. If that doesn't make sense, it just sometimes because we have like what? We have almost 70 students in the call right now. So, and we have students all the way from elementary school to middle school. So if it does make sense, just, you know, you can move it around. Just kind of move it underneath. It should be good. But sometimes the align tool can help a lot. So that's why I put it out there. Yeah, so I'll do lining one more time. If you're not able to get the lining, like if I have something like this, like something that's right here, you can just move it over and just kind of try matching it up. It's not too bad if you just try matching it up. So just do that, kind of match it up, bring it down. But if you want to align, just once again, select all, drag, select all. Now select both objects, hit this align button, or just click L on your keyboard. And then the next part is to hit the two middle dots in the middle. So you'll see that there's 3 dots here, 3 dots here. You want to click the middle one on the one closer to your side, and the middle one on the left side, or it could be the right side for you too. and that should align it perfectly. So yeah, that's something we talked about last time, and it's kind of good that we talked about it last time because it's a little bit of a hard concept to understand. But we'll the next class will also be doing a lot of aligning, so don't worry about it. Okay, I'm gonna try not to move too. I'm gonna try not to move too fast, but I'll just kind of slowly move on. Okay, so the next part is just to kind of just make sure these join. So there's a little bit of a gap. You might just want to use this black arrow right here and just move it up so it just perfectly joins in.
I think
Okay.
a few people are actually asking like how to just show how do you flip the cone again. So someone
Yeah.
will go ahead and show you guys that.
Yeah. So if you have the cone right here, you can just oh my bad. There's two ways to flip. You can either just rotate it using this rotate thing. That flips it over, and you just wait till it's like 180. Other way to do it, which I did not mention, which I'll kind of go over next class too, but there's this thing called mirror, which you can mirror the object. You can just flip it over. So the way to do that, you just click the vertical arrow and I'll just flip it. So once again, hit the top right mirror icon or hit M on your keyboard. And then hit one of these arrows. So there's 3 arrows. You want to hit the one that's like pointing to the sky. So just that one, hit it, and it should be flipped over. Okay. Okay. Anyways, now we have our body. The first thing I'm also going to stretch this out a bit. It just helps to get kind of a a longer structure and kind of the bigger part of the body, and then we'll add the fins in later. So that you can stretch it to whatever amount you want. I'll just do that much. And you'll notice in the rocket from before, which I shared, it had a kind of a flat base. Even though it was pointy, it was just kind of had a slightly flat base. So to do that, the way we kind of chop off, like you'll notice it's kind of pointy right here. We want to chop off so it's kind of like a flat base. So to do that, we can use a box. So if we use a box and just drag it in, put it on the plane. One thing, like we mentioned last time, to get that kind of like in the trophy, right? We had the hole inside the trophy, which is what you see in all trophies. But to do that, we needed to kind of to get the cup, we needed to use another version of the cup to shrink it and then make it a hole. And by doing that, you kind of carve out a piece of the trophy, which is kind of what you see in a cup, right? So in this case, we're not really carving out anything, but what we're going to do is we're going to chop off the base. And to do that, we're going to make the box a hole. Okay. So I'm going to increase its size a bit. I'm going to just put it upwards. You can also align it, but if you don't want to align it, just kind of move it underneath and just kind of move it upwards like that. So you can move it up as much as you want. I'm most likely going to move it up just enough. Maybe like that much should be good. That should be good. Make it a hole. So once you've put it inside, you'll notice the entirety of the bottom of the rocket is inside the actual box. Maybe I'll move it down just a bit. And then you want to make it a hole. So once you make it a hole, it's going to, after you make it a hole, you want to group all the objects. So just drag or click Control A. Control A will select all the objects and then click this group icon. You can also just click Control G and that should work, but this group icon will work. So just click group. And as soon as you do that, it'll wait a second and then you'll have that kind of bottom base that's just chopped off. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. If you guys, okay. Okay, I'll just do it one more time just so you guys can see. So remember, we just want to add a box because once we add the box in the bottom, we can make it a hole. And then once we group all the objects, it will chop off the box. It'll chop off that portion that we want. Okay, so add the box, align it. You don't need, you can just put it underneath. There's not really needed aligned. Just put it underneath. And then Once you have the box on the plane, the next step is to bring the box upwards. So I'm just going to bring the box upwards by using this black arrow, the black arrow on top of the box. Click on it and drag upwards. So I'll just drag about a good amount, something like that. That should be good enough. And once you've done that, you'll notice that the cone is inside the box. And once you make the next step is to make the box a hole. Okay. So I'll just wait a second just so you guys can get caught up. If you want to ungroup, there's an ungroup button on the top. It's grayed out right now, but if you have something grouped and you click on that button, it will ungroup all the objects. If your cones are not touching, just make sure you click on it and click on the black arrow. The black arrow on any object will move it in 3D space. So you can move the object wherever you want on the plane, but if you use a black object, it'll increase the height of the actual object. So you can take it above the plane. So if this is a plane, you have the object, it'll take it above the plane. That's exactly what you want here to kind of join the cones. Okay. So after this box step, you want to make the actual box a hole. Oh, my bad. So click on the box and click on hole. And once you've done that, you want to group the objects. So you've made it a hole. The next step is to drag or just click Control A. That's the best option. Click Control A or just drag and select all the objects. And now you want to group the objects. So to group the objects, there's an icon on the top right. If any point in this tutorial or any time, if you don't know how to align, if you don't know how to flip the object, if you don't know how to group or ungroup, all your tools are on the top right here. Anything you need to do, it's all here. So if you hover over an icon, it'll tell you what that icon does. So this icon, for example, that I'm hovering over, hides the object, which is not something I want to do, but I'll show you what will happen. If you click on it, it'll hide the object. I'm not selecting anything, but that's what it does. This icon right here, it deletes the object, right? You can duplicate objects, anything you want. You can undo. All your tools, everything you want is on this bar right here. So if I'm going a little too fast sometimes, the best way is just to, like, as long as you know what I'm doing, just you can replicate that by just following these icons up here, all right? And that's the great part. All these icons are really simple to use. And yeah, so you have the hole, which is what you made the box here. And then all you want to do is just kind of group the objects. So you just Control A and then click group, or Control G also works. Once you do that, it will chop off the bottom. Okay, so now we have the actual body of the rocket. Okay, so yeah, once we have the body of the rocket, we're going to start making the fins. But before that, you'll notice that we had like some kind of part to the rocket. I'll add those in later, but the first thing we want to do is actually add the fins to the rocket. So I'll kind of move the entire thing downwards because it's all grouped anyway. So you can just click on it, move it downwards with this black arrow, and I'll move it to the plane. And now that it's on the plane, we want to add the fins. So to make the fins, it's just a different shape. And the fins are actually the box, but they're actually really thin boxes. So that's how we do it. So just drag a box to the plane, kind of rotate. I'll zoom in a bit. So we have our box here. What we want to do is we want to make it really thin, right? Almost like a fin, right? So to make that, you can just use the corner thing here and just make it really thin by doing that. And I'll make it about, 4. I'll set it to 4. That should be good. Maybe even thinner. Something like that should be good. Yep. So like that, we have something like a really thin kind of fin. But you'll notice if I put this in here, it doesn't look like a fin. You want a kind of slanted fin, right? I'll show you just a second. If I share my screen of here, you'll see in the rocket, it's kind of it's like a thin kind of fin, but a corner of it is just chopped off, right? And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to make a hole and chop off the fin. And you'll do this. And the reason why I've put this in the rocket is because one really great thing about, Tinkercad is that it allows you to make new kinds of shapes. So in just a second, I'll show you what that shape looks like. So to make that shape, I'm going to first add another box. And I'll just wait a second just so you guys can get that. Okay, yeah. So we have the box. We have this kind of fin, and then we have the box, which acts as a hole. So the actual box is just going to chop off part of the fin. So I'm going to increase the fin size just a bit. I don't know, maybe just a tiny bit. Okay, so we have, I hope everyone's caught up, but yeah, make sure you're still under the same size. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller, and I'm gonna increase the height a bit. And then I'm going to raise it to make sure that I can actually make it a hole. To align it, since we want it to be perfectly aligned, select everything, hit L on your keyboard, or click this align icon, and you'll see the 3 dots on the left, and 3 dots on the bottom, and 3 dots vertically. You want to hit the middle dot on the left, and the middle dot, the one to the side closer to you, and that should align them perfectly. And once you do that, you can kind of raise the cylinder inside, and that should kind of give you a way for you to make it a hole. Okay, so now it's an orange cylinder. What you want to do is click this drop down, make it a hole, and then just click Control A on your keyboard, or just drag and select all the objects. By clicking Control A, you're going to select all the objects. So the first step, always when you're kind of chopping off things or making a hole or a carving inside an object, first step is to find the part that you're going to make the carving with. So in this case, we're not chopping off anything, we're just making a carving, right? So to do that, we're going to carve it out with another cylinder. After you have that and you've aligned it perfectly, you want to make that cylinder a hole, and then select all the objects and group everything together. And that's what we'll, and that's basically the final step. So we have everything selected, hit the group icon on the top right, and just like that, you have a hole inside your rocket. So before we did not, and now we have a hole all the way inside the rocket. So you guys can see that. Oops. I hope you guys can see that right here. So yeah, that's kind of a hole inside a rocket. It's just a small detail, but it matters a lot, especially when you're building this entire rocket. So I'm going to kind of just color this a bit. It looks pretty small, but I'm gonna, if you zoom out, I'll first bring it down a bit. Maybe I'll make it just rotate just a bit, and then I'll select everything. I think there's a way to hit multicolor, I think somewhere here, or you can just ungroup all the objects for a second. Make part of the object black. So I'll make this one black or gray. And then that should be good. And then you can group the objects again, just for a second. And that's what we have. So I think we can hit multicolor somewhere. Oh yeah, if you click on the solid color, you can make it a multicolored object. So that's pretty much all we have for today. I know that was a bit fast paced toward the end, but I know we're just a little bit crunched on time. We will send a video though. So I know I went a little bit fast, but we're unfortunately out of time. So we have if your parents do get an email. So I know a little bit the part of the whole part. If you guys didn't get that, just watch the video. It really helps that too. It's basically the same thing as this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure that between now and next week, you're kind of thinking of your own ideas, just thinking of what you're going to build. Next week as well, I'm going to build a few projects, and I'm going to give you guys a choice for which kind of project you want to learn next week. So next week is not a definite about what we're going to be building, but I'll give you guys a few options, and then next week you guys can just decide what you want to build that week. And that will be our last class next week. So yeah, just make sure that in the next week you kind of think of your own ideas, start building, and then next week we'll teach you guys how to submit your project. And then you have another week to just submit, finalize your project, and then get a chance to put it on the website. So if you guys have any questions, I might stay over. Just if I might repeat a few things if you guys want. That's pretty much it for today.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And then remember that for the app showcase, for the 3D design showcase, that if you do submit a project, the project will be presented on our website, and those pages go out to thousands of students, thousands of parents.